Kagadosh Boker Tov. We're just continuing with halachot of Sefirat Omer. We're now going to speak about listening to the music. So there were some opinions that on Erev Shabbat, after Chatzot, you're allowed to listen to music in order to get into Shabbat with Kedushav, the Shabbat, and also with happiness, and from then on you don't say Tikkun Chatzot. But Askamat Poskim is not to be Mekel, and just to understand where does this come from. So Rav Meir Mazuz, that he was just passed away, he actually was posek la'akel. Now, there were some shittot that why exactly were they mekel? So there, in the Shuti Chavedat of Rav Ovadia, he brings out in the Miluim that there were dulyot about a Bet Knesset in Prague that they used to come and used to have music on, they used to sing Kabbalat Shabbat by Knisat Shabbat in order l'sameach halevavot v'likanes Shabbat Yom Tov b'simcha v'tuv levav. Mamash, they used to come, they used to put on music, they used to do these things. Now, why exactly? He says it used to be half an hour before the Shabbat. The reason why is because Ashkenazim, they used to chayim betzar bedochak uskurim begeto vayelem tzarot tzrurot. He says they were always suffering. They used to live in a ghetto. They had a lot of suffering. So therefore, in order to cheer them up, what they used to do was they used to have music right before Shabbat. So he says, okay, fine. So that's going to be mamash right before Shabbat. He used to say twice, even Mizmor David. Because of that, one with music and one without music afterwards to be mekabel the Shabbat. But again, the majority of the poskim, they don't hold of that. They hold just like Ilchot Avilut. Just like Ilchot Avilut, Avilut goes until the Shabbat. Or they would go mamash right before, maybe an hour before, half an hour before, just to prepare themselves for the Shabbat. For sure, to start being mekel from Chatzot onwards, for sure is incorrect. Now, to do with singing with your mouth, you're allowed to sing with your mouth, whether it's going to be during tefillah, during the limud, or Shabbatot, and all these things, meaning there's no yisur to come and start singing Shirei Shabbat, or to start doing these things, and you're not allowed to sing, it's Sefirat Omer. That there's no problem whatsoever. Now, to do with the Mimona, we already brought down that Mimona was going to be permitted because of Isru Chag. Rav Eliyashi said that the minhag was that even an Ashkenazi, that was going to be by the Sfaradi, would be able to be listening to music, because since for the Sfaradim it's mutar, it's going to be permitted for the Ashkenazi to come and to listen. However, though, that would only happen if Mimona will come out on the Isru Chag. What happens for in Eretz Yisrael, if what happens is, I think this happened last year, where all of a sudden you had that Shabbat for us was Shmini Shel Pesach, but for them was already finished Pesach. So therefore, the Mimona for them would not be on Isru Chag. It would be the night afterwards. It would be like us. So for us, it's still Isru Chag. For us, it's the day after Yom Tov. So you're allowed to, because even without Mimon, even without that, a lot of Shittot hold that it will be permitted. But for other, in Eretz Yisrael, how do you do it? So he says the only way to get out of that would be to make a Siyum Masechet. And by making a Siyum Masechet then, during the Mimona, then you would not have a problem in Eretz Yisrael on Motzei Shabbat, when that Shabbat was Parashat Shmini, and for us not. That's when we have the differences in Parashiot, that they would be ahead of us by one Parashah, right, basically until Shavuot, and basically they come and mamash, they continue going, that they're always going to be ahead one Parashah. But again, this doesn't happen this year, obviously, but it does, I think it was last year or 2 years ago for sure it happened. So whichever one it was, you have it there. Background music is also going to be permitted. Why is it going to be permitted? He says because your kavanah is not to listen to music. So therefore, if it's going to be that you have a background music in the background, whether it's going to be in certain places where you're going shopping or certain places where you're going, and all of a sudden there's background music, you don't have an isur, again, not to come and start that you want to listen to it, but it's not, there's no isur that you can't just go into, you're going to say, listen, I can't go into the store. Why? They have music. At the end of the day, you're not going b'chavanah to listen to the music, and therefore anything which is going to be background, or even the person's phone or things like that, that it's going to happen, such a thing is not going to be prohibited because it's considered background music.